Hey everybody, 'tis the season. Today we are making pumpkin spiced gluten-free donuts. Let's get after it. Boom. Okay, we're gonna start with our egg substitute, which is flaxseed meal, into a measuring cup with some water. Now remember, you're gonna have the recipe under the description on the channel. But let's get this mixed up, and that way we can leave it set for a few minutes while we're getting our dry ingredients together. Just needs a little bit of a stir, not too much. Okay, while our egg substitute is setting, we're gonna mix all of our dry ingredients together. We're starting out with everything that's pre-measured to make things a little bit easier on us. There's flour. I'm gonna be adding in baking powder, baking soda, salt, cinnamon. Smells fantastic. And over here, I've got my coconut sugar. Got a little bit of a hint to it as well. Let's add everything in. Can never have too much cinnamon. And then of course our coconut sugar. Okay, we're just gonna give them a little bit of a stir to a bigger bowl later on once we've got all of our wet ingredients mixed up and ready to go. All of these dry ingredients are together. This already smells good. I can smell sugar and I can smell cinnamon together. Okay, so next we're gonna take all of our wet ingredients and put them together so we can introduce them to all the dry. We're gonna start out with almond milk. And this is what it's all about right here. These donuts are gonna be about our fresh pumpkin puree. This is a really nice one, so let's add that right in. This is what everybody craves around this time of year. Mixing in. I've got about 4 tablespoons going in there. Excellent. Always got a little extra in case I need. Fresh grated ginger with a mixture of vanilla. Let's get that in. Make sure we get it all. All we're gonna do is give it a little gentle stir. We don't need to overmix this one. Everything's come together really nice here. We're gonna take our wet ingredients, introduce them with the dry stuff, and we're gonna just gently mix them. We've gotta be careful here not to overmix, okay? So let's get this going in. Everything coming together out here. So you can see I'm stirring as I'm pouring and stirring and pouring. Okay, let's get everything in there. The last bit of our pumpkin. I want to make sure everything's coming out. And as I say, when you mix it, it won't overmix. But just be very aware as we're bringing things together here. And make sure you get from the sides and from underneath. That way all the dry stuff is together. We'll kick it up a notch here. Stirring. Texture and consistency coming through. You can really smell all the pumpkin, our spices coming together. This is looking good. And once everything's together like that, that's it. Leave it just like that. See? One important part of your pumpkin recipe, and this is the difficulty of trying to film and cook sometimes at the same time, is don't forget our egg substitute here that we set aside. Everything in this set. Uncle Drew almost had a little lapse of memory there and forgot to put the sod on the other side of the sink, and we're bringing it in now. So let's get that in. We'll give it one final mix. As I'll tell you what, in about 20 minutes, I would have been wondering what the heck happened. Either from tasting it, having it crumble, or looking across the counter and saying, what the hell is that? And then realizing, oops, but we caught it, we're good. Now this texture looks right. I knew something looked off on that. Now take a look at this. Does not look a heck of a lot better now that we've got that flax in there. Okay, let's move on. Let's get them in the trays. Okay, our next step is taking a piping bag. I've already got it inside this nice fancy orange cup. Go with our pumpkin theme here and our pumpkin spice. We're gonna take all of our mixture, add it into a piping bag. I've got enough here to make a couple of dozen of these pumpkin spice donuts. So I'm gonna be using 2 of these today. I'm gonna show you one. We're gonna fill it in. We're gonna make sure it's packed really tightly. That way there's no little air pockets in there. We're gonna squeeze it down, and then we're gonna snip the end so we can fill up our donut trays. Check that out. Now we can just take that right out. And you'll see we're gonna end up pressing everything all the way to the bottom, and we're gonna eliminate any of the air pockets that we might have inside of this piping bag. Okay, here we go. Snip it. And we wanna work fast when we're in there, okay? Let's start over here. Fill these up nice. And make sure when you get to the end, just tilt it up, that way you don't lose any. There we go. You can see basically one piping bag got us 6 full donuts. We're gonna get onto the second piping bag in a second. Okay, you can see both of our trays are all ready. We're gonna put them in the oven. We're gonna bake them 8 to 10 minutes. We've already had that oven preheating at 350 if you're using convection. If you're not using convection, let's bump up the temperature a little bit, okay? Middle rack is always good for these. Say, hey Google, set a timer for 10 minutes. The Google Assistant is fantastic for that. Okay, so while our donuts are in the oven, we're gonna prepare our toppings. We've got 2 types today. One is gonna be coconut oil that we're gonna dip the donuts in, and then we're gonna cover them with some nice sugar and cinnamon. That's gonna be a really great flavor. The other one's gonna be a very basic glaze. We're just gonna use a couple of tablespoons of almond milk with some icing sugar. Start off with a couple of tablespoons of almond milk at the bottom of my bowl, nothing too major. And then I'll get into our icing sugar. And same thing, I'm gonna start off here with a couple. 1, 2, let's start out with 3. I should be using something else, but right now I've got a spoon in my hand, so we're gonna start with that to get our glaze going. See how it works. Again, we only have 6 donuts here that are gonna be getting our glaze, so we don't need too much, but it's already working out to be a really nice consistency on that. See that, what we're working with here, it looks really nice. I want it not too runny, so what I'm seeing right now is just past the point, the consistency point that I want. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in a little bit more. Boy, if my mom saw me doing this, she'd say, what are you doing? Uncle Drew's kitchen, you're allowed to get messy, it's okay. Ah, look, our consistency is getting a little bit better. But guess what we want to do? A little bit more icing sugar. So I think right now we're probably up to about 4 tablespoons of icing sugar in there with a couple of tablespoons of almond milk. See, it's like a baker's dream when we see this happen and the consistency changes just as we've added that in. See that? That's gonna be a nice icing to put on there. Perfect. That's gonna drizzle really nicely over our donuts. So bring it out, and the toothpick is still sticky. That means we need a couple more minutes in the oven. So we're gonna do another toothpick check over here. See that? That's clean. So now the most important part is leave these things cool down, leave them rest a little bit. We don't want to dip them inside our icing sugar glaze or sprinkle them with our cinnamon and our sugar afterwards, otherwise it's just going to melt right off. So okay, we get to have a little bit of fun here. What we're going to do now is take our brush with our melted coconut oil, which you can see right down in here. I'm going to be brushing half a dozen of these donuts, and then I'm going to be dipping those into our mixture of sugar and cinnamon to give them that nice extra flavor. Now you can see our donut on the top here. Because we flip them over, it's a nice flat part as opposed to the top part. So we're just gonna start painting. I'll start at the back, and I'm gonna do one at a time right now just to show you what that should look like before we put them on our plates. So you get up close here and see what we're gonna do is take the donut. We've got our cinnamon and our sugar in there. We're just simply going to give it a little twist. And check that out. You see that? It looks fantastic. Boom! And I've got a second one ready to go. We'll do the same. And we'll continue on. got to work quick once your coconut oil has been brushed on. I'm gonna be moving on to the ones with a nice glaze, but I want you to take a look at those first. These smell delicious. That pumpkin spice is really coming out. Can't wait to get a glass of all into these. Okay, now I've got my glaze here, icing sugar and almond milk. You'll notice I've got some parchment paper right underneath my cooling rack. That way you can go ahead and make a mess and it doesn't matter. So drizzle them over any way you'd like. Do a design if you want. I'm just gonna be very basic right now. And make sure you work fast. If you like what you see on those, for me, I'm gonna go across a little bit. You won't be able to see as much, but we're gonna work fast again. Those look delicious. So we're gonna let those rest for another minute or two. We'll show you how they're gonna look completed. Check this out with our glaze. We've got a nice little pattern on there. Boom! And now the only thing left to do is give these a taste test. Uncle Drew's Kitchen. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Check in the description for the recipe for these gluten-free pumpkin spice donuts. They're gonna be simply out of this world. You're gonna enjoy them. Let's get in there. Which one? Choices. I've got glaze. I'm going with cinnamon and sugar to start. This one looks good. I've got my trusty almond milk. These are perfect. The only thing I know how to do now is boom!